It begins in silence deep inside the Colombian jungle. In the distance, a lone engine rumbles in the humid night air. Then, from a spot barely wide enough to spread its wings, a small plane takes off, its lights off, and flies low over the treetops. On board is over $50 million worth of cargo. Cocaine, refined, packaged and sealed to begin a journey that will cross oceans, borders, and governments, all without ever actually stopping. For decades, the world's most powerful countries have declared a war on drugs. Yet today, more cocaine is being produced, trafficked, and consumed than at any other time in human history. The question is, why can't anyone stop it? Who controls this billion-dollar route that stretches from the rainforests of South America to the luxury ports of Europe? To understand it, we have to go back to where it all began, the hidden valleys of Colombia, where entire cities survive on a single plant, the coca leaf. For many farmers, this is not a crime, it is survival. They make money by growing corn or coffee, but coca brings the real money, money that feeds families, builds homes, and buys freedom in places where the government rarely steps in. From these remote farms, coca leaves are transported to makeshift laboratories hidden beneath the dense canopy of trees. There, people wearing rubber gloves and masks work with barrels of gasoline and chemicals to transform green leaves into a white powder, cocaine hydrochloride. Once processed, its value skyrockets. In Colombia, 1 kilogram can be sold for only $1,500. But by the time it reaches Europe or America, the price of the same kilogram goes up to $70,000. Trade has developed far beyond Colombia. Today, Peru and Bolivia compete in its production, and smugglers have built a sophisticated global logistics network that rivals multinational corporations. Submarines, private jets, fishing boats, and even drones. Every method imaginable is being used to move product. In the center of this network is known as the Cocaine Highway, a secret route that starts deep in South America and ends across the Atlantic in the glittering cities of Europe. It is not controlled by a cartel, but by a coalition of criminal syndicates that operate like a global shadow economy. Each has its own role, each plays its part, and each ensures that the system is never shut down. The first leg of this dangerous journey begins off the Pacific coast of Colombia, where smugglers load the cocaine onto semi-submersible ships. Hand-built submarines made of fiberglass and painted blue to blend in with the sea. These ships can carry up to 4 tons of cocaine and can evade radar. Each cost about $2 million to build. But when you're transporting hundreds of millions worth of cargo, that's a small investment. Their destination is often West Africa. Yes, Africa, the world's new drug superhighway. Countries such as Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, and Ghana have become major transshipment hubs, where weak law enforcement and deep-rooted corruption allow smugglers to operate freely. From there, the cocaine is hidden in legitimate shipments of lumber, fish, or cocoa, which make their way directly to Spain, the Netherlands, and Belgium, the cocaine capitals of Europe. And the real power behind this global operation is no longer just Latin American cartels. In recent years, European crime syndicates have joined forces with South American producers. The Italian 'Ndrangheta, the Albanian mafia, and the Serbian networks now control distribution within Europe, generating billions in profits each year. A European explorer once said, "The cocaine trade is the only business in the world in which every participant, from the farmer to the street vendor, makes a profit." And perhaps that is why it has proved impossible to destroy. Governments have tried everything. Billions have been spent on military raids, border controls, satellite tracking, and international cooperation. But every time they close one door, another opens up. When the Caribbean corridor was blocked in the 1990s, smugglers turned to Mexico. When the Mexican routes became too violent, they turned to the Atlantic. When Europe cracked down on ports like Rotterdam, they simply moved to Antwerp and Hamburg. Businesses adapt faster than governments can react, and corruption ensures that this will always be the case. Police officers in Colombia are caught taking bribes. In West Africa, entire airports turn a blind eye. Even in Europe, port authorities, shipping companies, and dock workers are paid to keep containers moving. Every year, more than 1,000 tons of cocaine enters Europe alone, the equivalent of 100 truckloads of pure powder. Most of this goes unnoticed. A few shipments are intercepted, enough to make headlines, but not enough to make a difference. Behind this unstoppable network are shadow financiers, businessmen who launder billions through real estate, cryptocurrency, art, and offshore accounts. In places like Panama, Dubai, and Switzerland, cocaine profits become clean investments. Penthouses, yachts, and private jets, all paid for by the white powder that started as a green leaf in the Andes. The most surprising truth about this system is how global demand keeps it alive. Europe's wealthy elite, America's suburban professionals, and even Wall Street executives all feed the same chain. As a former cartel accountant once said, customers are the reason we exist. Without their money, there is no business. In many ways, the cocaine trade reflects the modern world itself. Connected, profit-driven, and almost impossible to stop. Governments pursue smugglers with drones, but smugglers use encrypted apps and GPS-guided submarines. Agencies keep track of the money, but billions of dollars move through crypto wallets faster than any law enforcement can keep up. And while the world is fighting this so-called war on drugs, the casualties are increasing. Not just the addicts, but the entire community. In South America, rainforests are destroyed for coca farms. Youth in West Africa are drawn into trafficking networks. In Europe, rival gangs fight brutal street wars for control of the market, leaving dozens dead each year. Yet despite all this chaos, the cocaine route survives. A billion-dollar artery beating across continents, adapting to every challenge. What makes it truly unstoppable isn't just corruption or technology, it's economics. The global cocaine trade is estimated at over $200 billion per year, which is more than the GDP of entire countries. As long as there is demand, someone will supply. As long as there is profit, someone will risk everything. Even the cartels themselves have changed. The days of flamboyant warlords like Pablo Escobar are over. Today's cocaine kings wear suits, invest in startups, and hide behind shell companies. They work quietly, invisibly, through networks so sophisticated that no one can detect them. These new smugglers are known by Europol as the invisible cartels. They don't control territories, they control logistics. They are experts in moving product forward like global supply chain experts. They don't need to fight wars because their battlefield is data, ports, and trade routes. For every ton of cocaine seized and shown on TV, 9 others are involved. It's the scary truth. The system is too big to fail. So who could possibly stop this passage of billions of dollars? Honest answer, probably nothing. Because it's not just about drugs, it's about the system that allows it to exist. The poverty that forces farmers to grow coca, the corruption that makes the police complicit, and the demand that never disappears. A Colombian journalist once wrote, "Cocaine is not just a powder. It is a mirror showing us what the world really is. Greedy, unequal, and addicted to profit." Maybe that's why, after decades of arrests, shootings, and record busts, the cocaine route is still thriving, shifting, adapting, and surviving. It has no boundaries, no face, no single leader. It moves like a shadow, always there, always a step ahead. In the end, this is not just a story of criminals and lawmen. This is a story about the dark side of globalization, where a gram of white dust connects the jungles of Colombia to the nightclubs of London. And until that connection is broken, the billion-dollar cocaine route will never end. Because this doesn't belong to one cartel, one country, or one person. It belongs to all of us. So the next time you hear about drug busts or see headlines about record seizures, remember, they're just drops in the ocean. The real system continues beneath the surface, silent, profitable, and invisible. The billion-dollar cocaine route is not just a story about drugs. It is a story about humanity's endless hunger for money, for power, and for escape. And that hunger is something that no one can stop.